Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be part 2 of Legendaries. In each faction, they're going to help you with Hydra. We'll probably do epics next in a series, but here we go. Okay, Prince Kymar. In the early days of Hydra, people were using him with Trunda. So the whole Trunda Yumiko strat wasn't unheard of. People were already doing it with Prince Kymar to push up big numbers. Prince Kymar is actually very good to a certain degree. He can strip buffs, and he can reset cooldowns. He can place poisons occasionally. He'll help you, but he won't get you all the way there. I'd use him maybe up too hard, and that's it, so just normal. Tyrant Ixlamore. I just pulled this guy. He's the only legendary I've ever pulled out of primals. He brings a lot of damage mitigation through ally protection and increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, which is great. But also in his passive, he decreases the damage inflicted from enemies under HP burn by 10%. So it's a little bit there. And then HP in all battles aura. Now you can use Tyrant to farm Spider. I actually think you can use him to solo farm Ice Golems and Dragon. Not hard, but the older one. If you have him, use him, because HP burn actually does do a ton of damage in Hydra. Countess Lix, well, she does bring some stuff to the table. First thing she brings is decreased speed, and she will decrease the cooldown of ally skills by 1 turn except for all. Pretty decent, right? The Astrolon thing doesn't matter, but she does have a thing where she can start cycling her abilities because she'll fill her turn mirror with 5% for each time an ally receives a debuff. If you've played it against Hydra before, you know this happens quite a bit, especially if the head of Blight's out. Okay? But she also brings Weaken on her A1. Is she amazing? No. Will she help? Maybe. Efrak, he's an arena champion. He's not for this. Drexar, however, can be useful. I wish this guy would get a little buff to make it so this provoke is 100% chance. Currently is only 60% with books on a 3-turn cooldown. I think it needs to be at least 100 or 90% at least. But he's great. He's got a passive that places HP burn. He also has an A1 that places HP burn. But he also brings decreased attack and provoke. Okay. So, yeah. Chance increased to 100% HP burn. Also plays decreased attack. So, yeah. Even the decreased attack is conditional. Candrafon, arena champion, not for this. Sissia, Flame Tongue, however, is very good in Hydra. She can put up the numbers. I've done it myself for a while. I used her on Brutal for quite a while, and then I used her on Hard. She's great. Vassal of the Seal. Sadly needs a buff. These Doom Tower champions, only one legendary, actually 2 legendaries because of Varl. I should go fight myself out in front of the flagpole. But yeah, Vassal, he's just not doing enough. True Fear, sure. Increase it or decrease attack, maybe. You know, he does HP balance. He does other things. He's only like, you'll notice that champions only against certain factions like do better or do worse. They're not very good. Like Raid's trying to push a thing and it hasn't been realized yet, but I could be proven wrong someday. Wither the Crown is a great champion, but in Hydra she can really fuck you over. It's because of her passive. Because she's going to give the champion with the lowest HP for start of their turn a continuous heal buff for 1 turn. That can drastically screw you over because it'll change the mischief head target, right? And you don't want that. But otherwise, she brings Leech, continuous heal. She brings increased defense and a nice big heal because she activates continuous heal buffs. And then she removes all debuffs on a 3-turn cooldown and then heals all allies by 30% of her max HP. She is a superb champion. I do love with you. Order Macabre, he ain't for this, but when I was building Hydra teams, this was like the only champion the guy had that could place block debuffs. So Mortu really ended up being like the stand-in for Group Tuck and for for Uko. Duchess, don't need to say more. Lord Shazar, not worth it for Hydra. Helicath, also not good for Hydra because you don't want block damage being stolen. it makes for a very bad day. Kutraxa, not good for Hydra. She might be, because if Turvold's dealing a ton of damage, Kutraxa might deal a ton of damage for single target and ally attack with Hex combo. And Anithwi, sadly, he needs another buff. These multipliers need to be increased. Raid's too scared to make him too good, because he would just dominate the meta. But he should. He's a void legendary, for God's sake. But that's going to be it for Demon Spawn. But Anithwi, if you're asking me, probably not. No. But he does bring a leech, though, on his A3. So, I don't know. Who knows? Undead Hordes. We have a ton to go through. Crypt King Raw. No. Protoss. No. Saito. No. Elegias. No. Morrigan. Actually, not bad. She cannot place the True Fear, but she does place Decreased Accuracy for 2 turns. On the boss instead. If you're able to target the Head of Mischief, this is a great ability, but she also brings turn meter manipulation with increased speed. She also places heal reduction, which doesn't really matter. She has an aura that's good for all battles. But this here, pretty dang good, man. I like it. I was using it for a hot minute. Skartosis can deal a ton of damage. That's what I'll say about Skartosis. Bad Alcazar, Cleanse, but that's about it. He's a one-trick pony. He's not actually, sadly, very good for Hydra. Blood Gorge. Very good for Arena. Not good for Hydra. Ultimate Death Knight. I'm going to give you my take on UDK. I like him in Hydra. Not past hard. He is actually very good with his passive for the single target thing. Because Head of Mischief, it's 50-50 chance when it tries to steal buffs. If it's going to steal them from Ultimate Death Knight because it's single target ability, right? Because it's a boss. He also brings, sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes he gets the provoke off with a 50% chance. He also brings damage mitigation with heals and shield, and he does bring decreased attack. I love Ultimate Death Knight. I think he's actually very decent for Hydra. Mashald, shouldn't have to say anything. He's amazing for Hydra. Nethro, not good for Hydra. Suzerain Catan does bring decreased defense and weaken. He does bring a decreased speed. Heal reduction doesn't matter, but Suzerain does have good multipliers, but sadly, he's not good for Hydra. Harvest Jack, however, it's weird, okay? Let's read his ability. It says A1, attacks 3 times. When booked, it's a 35% chance of stealing a random buff from the target. Each hit also has a 35% chance of placing fear, which doesn't matter. This chance increases to 100. All buffs are stolen from the target, so it doesn't matter. His A2, though, Dreams to Ash. Attacks all enemies, places block, buffs, debuff for 2 turns on targets under fear, so that doesn't work. Removes any increased attack buff from the target and replaces them with a decreased attack. Removes any continuous heal from the target and replaces them with 5% poisons. The number of poison debuffs is equal to the number of continuous heal buffs. A little awkward, but is what it is. This one, he'll just put decreased speed out. That's about it. But this is cool here. It's passive. When attacked, he will decrease the duration of all buffs on the attacker by a turn. So if you can survive the initial attack from the Head of Wrath, and you have Harvest Jack on the team, the Head of Wrath will lose all of its buffs a lot faster if Harvest Jack's on the team because of Leering Grin and with enough accuracy. So I'm curious to try him out. I recently pulled him. He was one of the, I think he was the first Halloween fusion. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was, but I like him. I was actually excited to pull him. Siffy, amazing. Don't need to say anything. Necret, no, he's only good for Arena. Don't do anything else with him. Uras the Soul Cage, though, can be a mischief tank. And he can put decreased speed out. He does put shield out. But his poisons really won't work. He does bring a really, like, fucking meaty resistance aura into all battles. I'm going to try him at some point. I heard people were using him in Live Arena to really fuck people over, and it's making me very happy. Little Miss Annie can actually do a ton of damage, especially because of her multipliers on her A3 on Playdate. She can do a ton of damage on decapitated heads, but again, it doesn't do anything else. Vlad, however, though, does bring some great things. He does bring decreased defense, and he brings an AoE leech. These are both now AoE abilities, especially this one. When he was first brought out, he was last year's Halloween Fusion. Right? I think so, or 2 years ago. I think it was last year. People weren't happy because he was very subpar because this was a single target ability, and they're like, he's a void legendary. make him better, right? But yeah, I like Vlad. I think he can actually do some decent work for you, up to hard. Okay, Valkynin, I've seen videos. He can actually do very good damage on Hydra, and he can actually help with spreading damage throughout Hydra because of his X and his abilities. Hopefully, I get him one day. He's another one I'm hoping for. Dark Elves. This is actually a pretty decently stacked, but you don't realize it, faction. Ray can do a ton of damage. She can buff strip and put decreased defense out. And yeah, that doesn't matter. Moving on. Landicus, she was being used for the Infinity comp. It forced me to book mine and like get masteries on her and everything. She's an odd champion, but yeah, I wouldn't use her right now. Foley, I wouldn't use. Not the paralyzer. I have one, not booked out. This guy just puts out poisons and sleeps people. He does have a decreased accuracy here. He places an ally protection on all allies of this champ for 2 turns. Places all allies for 2 turns. Kind of the opposite of a mischief tank, but he looks like he has good damage mitigation from that. So take for it what you will. Truath is a sleeper. I have 2, and I'm going to be here to tell you I will book mine out, and I'm going to use her because she does bring a lot of healing. I'm going to try and put her in a curing set to really pump that up. But yeah, she can place perfect veil on ally except herself for 2 turns. Also places counterattack and a 20% strengthen on this champion for 2 turns. So I'm going to tell you this right now. Mischief tank this bitch. And that's it. She's great. I'm going to try her out. Xavia, she's not doing enough. Poison explosion. Marinix, however, one of another seems to be a trend. Fusions I did skip that I do kind of regret. She does bring 2 essential debuffs to the team: decreased defense and hex. Yeah, she can be utilized to great effect. Okay, Vizier, he's only good for clan boss, and that's not even much anymore. I'm kind of sad. I really would hope that someday he probably gets a decent buff to make him more, or the new content comes out that you're gonna want to use him in. Chromax. Chromax is so close to being amazing. If this was a 3-turn cooldown provoke, Chromax, honestly, I book him out, I build him, and he's in. He will instantly go in and just start, he's bringing all the debuffs you want. Decreased attack on the A1, which single target. His A2 is a block buffs. So here's the thing you have to do. Turn this A2 into an AoE ability. Beautiful. And then make this a 4-turn cooldown. That's it. He brings provoke, he brings decreased accuracy, and then he brings block buffs. He's just so close to being amazing, especially with this passive. One attack, booked out, what's that? 45, 55, 70% chance of placing hex on the attacker for 1 turn after each hit. He's so close to being amazing. And he has an accuracy in all battles aura. It's close. Exactly. Where are we? Ashlith, no, bomb champion, really for meme teams in arena and for Bommel. Eva needs a buff. Queen Eva just isn't doing it. Ghostborn again, he's only for dungeon content because this is an irresistible decreased defense. Rule, the Hunt Master. I have a +2 rule. I think he's pretty damn good. He brings hex and increased accuracy and perfect veil. Okay. He also can hit pretty decently hard. His multipliers are better than Trund's, if I remember right on paper. It doesn't feel like it, sadly. This is compared to her A3, not her A2, honestly. He does bring decreased defense on the A1, but he will decrease the speed of enemies under hex debuff by 5% and decrease the resistance of those enemies by 10%. This works on bosses. Also increases the damage under hex debuffs received by 10%. Decreases the value of heals they receive by 30. This works on bosses. It's great. I love it. He also has a crit rate in all battles ordered by 20%. Altan, I have him. He's really not doing a lot. Not for Hydra. Blind Seer, again, she's not doing a lot. She can place block debuffs. And she can res and bring, block damage. She got a buff. I think she needs another one. Lydia, I don't need to say any more. She's amazing. Vizix, a lot of people are using her in Nightmare. Vizix is great. This is a 3-turn cooldown, 100% chance to provoke. Amazing. She brings decreased speed and ally protection. Amazing. Her A1 won't do anything, but that's fine. Mithrala, amazing. Tremeria, people are saying she's just essentially Mithrala, but with a stun instead, right? Is that what I was reading? Yeah. So she brings decreased speed. Stun won't work. Remove all debuffs from all allies. Fill the Tremerias with each ally by 15%. So yeah, she's immune to sleep. I wish she was immune to True Fear. She does have an increased ally speed in all battles over by 23%. People are really shitting on her, but I actually think she's better than what people are giving her credit for. Supreme Kale, I've seen him do work. He's good for Hydra. He is one of those champions that you need to build with damage, but you also need to build with a healthy amount of accuracy. Okay. Night Revenant. Here we go. Narma, up to hard, she can be a decent healer, but that's about it. Okay. I would even say that. Gaius, not good. No bomb champs. Gemnat can deal good damage and remove buffs. Alright. Attacks enemies 2 times per hit, removes all buffs. Second hit will ignore 20% of the target's defense against targets that have no active buffs. So again, it's another hybrid champion that needs accuracy and needs damage. Okay. Eric, I've seen people use her. She does very good damage, mostly really for arena. Yeah. I don't even know if you could build her as a mischief tank, to be fair. Bistophis still has the highest base attack in the game, so it's like a wet noodle. He's not good. Don't build him. He needs a buff desperately. Tia the Tomb Angel, same thing. She does more damage based on people with that Hex. The good thing about her, though, she only needs 8 books, and in her big abilities, she only needs 1. So I'm considering building mine out finally. But again, Versolf actually is really good. I really love Versolf. He puts the leech out, and he can provoke on his A1. On the hit, he has a 20% chance to provoke debuff on the attacker per turn, occurs once per hit. This goes up to 25% if you book it out. But he also brings increased defense and ally protection. So he can be a mischief tank and he can be a provoker. Mother Cybele, people really slept on this champion. We all fused her. We weren't really happy about it because we didn't see the point, but content started coming out where she was amazing. She has an AoE decreased speed like Chris. She can bring Revive on Death and increased defense. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. And then she has this funky ability that you can swap HP and a bunch of different stuff happens depending on the level of the HP. And then she has an increased ally speed in all battles over by 24%. One of the higher ones. Yeah. Use her for Hydra. She won't let you know. But build her with resistance. So speed and resistance. Tomb Lord. We all used him in the beginning because his A1 brought decreased speed. So to circumvent the cleanse and the poison cloud, you'd bring a block buffs champion in, and then you'd bring Tomb Lord in, so you could A1 the Head of Decay to slow it down so it couldn't cleanse right away. And then you'd bring the block buffs in, so when the Head of Blight would like put the poison cloud up, it wouldn't work. But he also does bring decreased attack and decreased defense. He's actually a very solid champ. Just this poison won't work. Theodore, he's okay. I've seen people use him in hard. Same for Calvalax. Walking Tomb Drang, he is the better version of Ignatius, honestly, because this is a 3-turn cooldown. Yeah, right here, 100% chance on his irresistible HP burn. And then he can proc HP burn with his A1. And then HP in all battles aura. He can do some work for you. Solus does a ton of damage, can do a lot of work in Hydra. He's a defensive nuker, and he brings provoke on 2 of his abilities. Use him. Hegemon, he ain't gonna do anything for you. Whirlum Frost King, though, he can bring Veil, Perfect Veil, and he brings decreased crit damage, decreased accuracy that are irresistible. The decreased accuracy is what's really good about it. But he is one of very few champions that does strengthen and increase defense, and this is on a 3-turn cooldown. So he may not look like much. He did get a buff. He's not awful. Okay. Consider using him if you have no other options. Fortis, don't. Crumple him up in a little ball and throw him back in the vault. He's garbage, sadly. Georgian, not good for Hydra. Okay, moving on. Dwarves. Okay, Trunda, she's part of the new affinity comp. I'm running it. I don't care. I'm shameless. How you doing? Use her if you have her, if you can do the comp. But if you can't, she's great in normal. She will push your damage to crazy heights in just normal. Under Priest Brogni, one of the best champions in the game, bar none, especially for not being a Void champion. He even gives Void champions a run for their money. But in Hydra, he's amazing. He brings block debuffs, increased attack, and a shield buff. That cannot be stolen. Okay? Cavern's Grasp. If you give him some accuracy, has a 100% chance on book to removing one random buff from all enemies, and then has a 100% chance of removing one random debuff from all allies, and will increase the value of the shield on all allies by 30% of the damage inflicted. So what you do is you put crit rate gloves on him, you give him Giant Slayer, and you just go to town and have a good time. Okay? And his A1 brings HP burn. And his passive, Redoubt, reflects damage dealt and heals the ally that was attacked. He's amazing. Herndig. Herndig does some cool stuff. He can bring weaken and HP burn. He brings decreased accuracy and defense if you put some accuracy on him. And that's about it. But really, he's just good for dungeon and arena content. Joffred, skip, don't do anything with him. Mountain King, don't single target. Beauregard, people sleep on this guy, but I think he can actually do some decent stuff. He brings increased resistance and increased speed on a 4-turn cooldown. Allies receive 10% less damage to champions whose resistance is lower than or equal to theirs. So for your tanks and stuff, this is great. Okay, and he also brings increased defense. Granyar. Granyar, again, is one of those Doom Tower champions that, man, he looks cool, but man, he's dog shit, right? Leave him where he's at. Nari. Nari's actually not bad. He can do a provoke. Okay, he also brings decreased accuracy and decreased resistance. He's the only champion that does both, by the way, to my knowledge. He also can steal buffs from people. And he will also transfer random buff from a random enemy to a random ally. His accuracy is increased by 5 for each buff on each ally. So you can build him with like mediocre accuracy and really crank his accuracy up. I'm going to book him pretty soon and try him out in Hydra because I think he's a sleeper. Molly, man, she was one of the first fusions. People love her. She's great because she has a chance of placing a 2-turn provoke, and that's one of the only 2 champions to my knowledge that do that. The other one's Umbral Enchantress. She also has a single target revive that places block damage on them. She also has a turn meter fill on her passive when attacked. All right, I love Molly. I think she's great. Yeah, Molly's great. Don't sleep on her. Samar, not much to say about Samar. Don't use him for Hydra. Kira, man, usually when I'm going to tell people about this and she's part of the Mythic Fusion, don't invest in her and just use her for the Mythic Fusion. But if you have no other options, she does bring decreased accuracy and she does bring ally protection and increased defense. That's about it. Okay. Gnut. Gnut is amazing for Hydra. Enough said. Triple hitter, max HP damage. And that's about it. If you want to get ballsy and try to outplay the Head of Mischief, you can do the A2 to bring decreased attack and weaken if you put accuracy on him. I've done it. Tormund, sadly, not good for this. He's an arena champ. Acrizia, we all know about Acrizia. She is the goddess of Hydra. Shadowkin. Jintoro, no. Lady Kimmy, yes, very good. She can place block buffs and increase accuracy and speed on your team. She also brings decreased accuracy and decreased speed on her A2. She does a bunch of turn meter manipulation. Lady Kimmy's amazing. Ninja, if you're lucky enough to be playing the game when you could log in and get, honestly, the best HP burn champion, like he is a boss killer. He's great. Use him. Okay. Michinaki, again, I am so bummed I did not go for this guaranteed champion. He is in a ton of the top Hydra Nightmare teams. It's because he brings decreased defense and decreased attack. He brings Hex. He brings HP burn, but he also has this when he will attack. If an ally attacks somebody under Hex, he has a 50% chance to join the attack. This won't go against Hydra Exposed next, because Plarium, we were pretty sure, knew the shenanigans this guy would get up to. And he also has increased ally defense and all battles. Sorry, but acid reflux. Harima is a sleeper in Hydra. If you build her with just enough accuracy, she can taunt the head, but she also will just reduce defense on heads, and her multipliers get pretty fucking intense. This A3 especially on exposed heads. I love Harima. But she can also mitigate damage too. Yoshi does bring increased attack and increased accuracy. He also brings decreased accuracy and HP burn, and that's about it. Noble. I want you to do this with Noble. I want you to fucking squish him, make him into a sandwich, shove him inside Ninja. That's all he's good for. But if you, like I said, if you didn't get Ninja, Noble's not going to be good for anything for Hydra. Tatsu, again, she's part of the Mythic Fusion. I'm going to tell you, don't use her. She's not even good for Hydra. Use her for the Fusion. Genzen. Genzen is actually pretty decent. He can bring a decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. His animations are very fast when he attacks. And then that's sadly about it. Genzen really doesn't do anything more than that. Kyoku. Kyoku is like the legendary version of Seeker. Build her with enough resistance and you can use her as a mischief. Okay, because she brings block damage, ally protect, she brings weaken, she can put decreased attack and HP burn, and then when she's hit, she puts increased defense on everybody, and then her aura is all increase in all battles. So, Gamma okay, not good for Hydra. Okay, hear me out. I think he's gonna, well, it's not gonna be secret anymore after this video, but he's gonna be my secret tech for Live Arena. I was really gung-ho on getting him as a guaranteed because he just looks amazing. He alters the floor around him. But I think I'm really going to bring him into the meta, especially if I see my opponent picking Sun Wukong. So if you've built up Gamran and you're disappointed, maybe think about putting him in high resistance and high speed and like putting him into the team when they pick Sun Wukong. Big brain moves. Karato, Fox Hunter. He has a weird kit. That's about it. I think he'll do decent damage, but that's about it. Rio is amazing. Okay, she can put heal, continuous heal. She has all these debuffs on her A2, and then she has a cleanse on a 3-turn cooldown. Okay, she's gonna be good user. Jing Wong, he got a buff. He was like he's still one of the worst Void legendaries and legendary period in the game. Epics are better than this guy. I guess if you don't have an Inquisitor or Shamail, try to make this guy work. That's all I can tell you. Yumiko, she's great in the Infinity teams. Otherwise, no. Ginro. Ginro is an interesting case. I think this guy's just really going to be used for Arena. Some people were saying build him with high enough resistance and accuracy and put him in Arena. Shuzen, she's amazing. User, you know what to do. Moving on. Sylvan Watchers. Alva, amazing. King Alkabar. He does have a block buffs. That's very good. And he actually has continuous heal. Poison sadly won't do a lot of anything in Hydra. Oella, she actually is not bad. Brings decreased speed on her A1. She's going to be, she has a great heal on this A2 on a 3-turn cooldown. And it also increases the duration of all ally buffs by a turn. And then fills the turn meter on her A3 by 30% for allies. But it gives everybody increased resistance. Now, I do need to say something about this. If you do not have your Mischief tank set up, and this goes on to somebody, and the head of Mischief steals this, you are fucked. Big time. Let me tell you. But yeah, I like a lot. Ruark, one of the very few champions that can actually place taunt. If you guys watched my video the other day about taunt, it is the easiest and most bullshit way to get around the devour mechanic as long as you can keep taunt up, okay? It can actually prolong the fight as well. Because if taunt's up, the Hydra heads cannot devour the devour target that has the debuff because of the rules for taunt. So keep that in mind. That's why I actually run Emic, who we're going to talk about in here, in my Infinity team. Saoirse, again, this is just a fail. This is the $25,000 champion. If you wanted to get her fully like awakened and blessed and all that. She's like another HP burn, like passive bullshit thing. I don't know. I'm so sick of this champion. Very few people have her. She's not very good anyways. People were bummed. Lady of Ira. Another mediocre champion. She does play strengthen and continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, so it's a bit of good damage mitigation there. She can place a shield, block damage. She's not very good. People were bummed. Ilo, arena only. Playdna. I mean, she does. Is this AoE? Yeah. So she has an AoE decreased speed at 100% and then AoE leech on a 3-turn cooldown. Pretty decent. She has revive on death, block debuffs, 3-turn cooldown as well. She might be useful. Put her in there. Emic, he's actually great. Build him high resistance and build him with high speed, and you can't go wrong with this guy. Okay, I love Emic. And currently, until that last faction come out, that's gonna be it for the video. Thanks for sticking around. I know it's just me like blabbering and putting up bullet points, but essentially the whole like 2 videos are yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. There you go. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave them down below. And as always, God bless. I love you. And goodbye.